You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to another Friday edition of Cards to the Moon. This is episode 185. My name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram. With me co-hosting as usual is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards. John, he couldn't be here, last minute cancellation, but he should be back with us either next week or a couple of episodes from today. All right, let's get right into it then. Off the top, the big news in the hobby this week is the official announcement that LeBron James has indeed signed a multi-year deal with Fanatics / Topps, and his first card under this new deal will be in the 2023-24 Bowman University Chrome Basketball, and it's just not any ordinary card. It's the dual on-card autograph featuring LeBron and his son Bronny, and it's a 1 of 1. So what do you think of, first, the announcement? It wasn't a really much of a secret, but it's official now. And also of the 1-on-1 card. And lastly, what do you think about the future of LeBron cards under this new deal?
First off, is this why John's not here? Because it's a LeBron episode.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that, but it's all making sense.
Yeah, exactly. But it's wild. The question is Bronny the real deal? Because
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
What happens if he's not? Like, I mean, that's some big shoes to fill, right? I understand the hype and the chase, but I mean, well, let's break this down first of all. Like, I think him leaving Upper Deck was like, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty big news. And it's just like, he's been with Upper Deck kind of his whole life. And then it's just like, and I heard that he had like an Upper Deck museum or something like that was built right before this.
Okay.
And he kind of left after it opened. Man. Yeah, I think, I think it's great news for the hobby, for collectors of LeBron, because I think Upper Deck didn't really do kind of justice with what they were kind of what they had, because I believe there's no product in a Miami jersey or LA Laker jersey that's signed by LeBron, true. Right? So I think there's massive collectability from that standpoint. I think a fair question to kind of ask is, well, they can't really produce any licensed cards till 2026. So what type of cards are you getting? Thus, I think the LeBron James high school jersey and the SC in his freshman year with Bronny. So that becomes kind of like, okay, in the next few years, these LeBron autos, what are they going to look like? Right? Being unlicensed. Is the hype going to die down by then? But I think there's enough collectability in terms of LeBron autos, especially in LA Lakers uniform. I think that's going to be a massive hit. Or even an LA Dodgers dual autograph with like Ohtani.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That never happened. Or a Steph Curry dual auto. Right? Things that really never kind of happened is now on the table. So I think there's going to be some hype around it, but again, the initial hype is the product launch of Bowman University, the dual auto of Bronny and LeBron. So I think that's kind of like the hype. You know what I think about, the overall, hype of released products that end up getting dumped or losing a lot of value based off that. I think it's going to be a huge chase card, especially that superfractor, but I think over time it's going to level out, and the desirability for I think licensed is going to be a lot more sought after. Agreed.
You kind of took that thought right out of my head in terms of the 1 of 1 superfractor, so I'll start there, because it's going to be a huge chase, no doubt. It's going to go for tens of thousands, I'm sure, right? And and whatever it ultimately ends up going for is too much. It'll
Yeah,
be too much.
exactly.
It'll be an overpay by whoever buys it, right? But
Right.
I would only get it like if I had the money, this major disposable income. If I had it, I would only get it to flip it within a year.
Right. You
Like
gotta
that's
sell
my
it.
goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely
my
not a
goal.
hold.
Exactly, because to your point, I if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna bet 99% of my money that Bronny doesn't outdo his dad.
Nah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you there.
or even like comes close to tell you the truth.
All right.
You know, so that's a cap in the value. With we talked about this in past episodes. Dual autos, they're great, but over time it becomes riskier and riskier depending on who that
100%.
second auto is.
Yeah, like you got a
Right?
lot of Tatis, Guerrero, and then Jose Urias or something like that. Like
Yeah, right.
or Keston Hira.
Yes. Good old Keston. But yeah, so even for Bronny, like it's cool to have that father-son dual auto, right? For sure. But, how long it lasts in terms of value is another question. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to LeBron licensed autos too. We say 2026, but a lot can happen from now until 2026. We don't know of whether they buy out Panini
Yeah,
or
exactly. I think that makes sense, kind of.
right. I mean that's been rumored for so long now, right? And
Yeah.
and now there's litigation, so we don't know how that's going to play out, and that could be the answer to to whatever happens next in the short term. But I guess we just have to wait and see. All right, so the Friday discussion is actually about Panini America, because if you saw on Twitter or on the different social media channels, the blunders just continue to come when it comes to Panini America, because especially when you see, I don't know if you saw it already, the Victor Wembanyama's Panini Prizm card, right? First, the box was apparently released for sale a month before it should have been released,
Right.
apparently. People have access to it. It's listed on eBay. And two, what everyone's talking about now is the picture of Wemby on the card is just awful. Yeah, in my opinion, many people's opinion.
It's it's the iconic curtain card, right? That's what we're gonna call it in the future, the
Yeah.
iconic curtain card.
Yo, man. It's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, you got I think everybody's on the same page in terms of kind of like, I guess they were disappointed in kind of the curtain and the kind of like how it looked. But I think the old school heads kind of, I wouldn't say expect it, but if you look back at Prism, usually rookies don't have like a real game photo, so they
Mhm.
do it all. Even Chet Holmgren was like,
Right.
his background's current. The difference between Chet's card and Wemby's is Chet is actually doing an action shot, which is sick. That it looks good, where Wemby is just kind of like standing there, right? So, by far
Yeah.
it was disappointing, but at the same time, I think I kind of expected it, because all cards are digitally altered for rookies on Prism, right? So
Mm.
it didn't really necessarily bug me. I think a lot more people are paying attention because the anticipation of Wemby's first Prism card. It's a big release. It's a big time player. So I think a lot of people are, kind of like picking at the fact that there is a curtain in gym floor that they could have easily edited out, right? And
Right.
yeah, but like if you look at like 2019, John Morant, like Tyler Hero, Zion, they have like the fake black curtain that was like digitally
Mm.
altered, and it's just their image really. And it's like I feel like Panini forgot that step to edit it. You know what I mean?
It was part of their cuts. They cut one of their editors out, and they're like, "Oh shoot."
Yeah, exactly. But I will say, on a hot take, I think in 2 years people will forget about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's just, we're just picking at it because it's the hottest
Yeah,
thing. The internet's in our face every day. We're all chasing Wemby if you have a
yeah.
box of Prism. So it's like we're being the ruthless critique, and give
Fair.
Panini a reason to kind of like say why they suck.
Yeah. You know what? That's fair enough because honestly, I didn't really notice the curtain until like people started talking about it. You know what I mean? Like I only saw
And you can't
the top
unsee
part
it.
of the picture. Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, it's just black, and then they're like talking about it. You look at the bottom, and
You're
then
like,
the
oh
you know,
man.
yeah, exactly. And even now, like you mentioned Chet Holmgren, like I had to while you're talking, I had to like look it up. I'm like, oh yeah, shoot, it's like the
It's the
same
same.
background. You
Same
know,
background. But his
yeah,
image looks cooler. I think
right,
it's Wemby's
right.
image. It's like he's not doing anything. You got to show those arms or whatever, right? The long
Yeah, it's
arms.
just so obvious. It just looks weird. You know, he's
Yeah.
like dribbling. It looks like he's dribbling up the court, but he had to like, pass the curtain first. You know what I mean? Because he's like coming towards the
But
camera. It's just
and
weird.
I think a lot of people are like dogging Panini for this, rightfully so. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
if I'm Panini, I'm doing a better job. But at the same time, I think we're gonna forget about it. We're making a big deal out of nothing. And Wemby's parallels are probably gonna be what's worth. There's gonna be probably thousands of base cards out there, and it
Yep.
is a black curtain color match. So it's like there's that,
Mm.
and if that's worth anything. But I think parallels you'll basically kind of like forget about it, right? Because it you have the different color parallel kind of distracting
Right.
everything else. So I think it's just a fad. It's just a hatred fad of
Okay.
Panini that they've been kind of receiving nonstop for the last, I guess, 11 years.
Sure. Sure. Okay. You're probably right. You're probably right. Well, the second thing before we, forget talking about Panini. The second thing was something that John brought up actually, and I didn't know about this until you mentioned it in our WhatsApp chat. And it's the basketball card of Mark Jackson, the former NBA player. And it's been reported that one or two of his cards has a sticker autograph that was not signed by him.
Oh,
Right?
what?
So yeah, so it that begs the question, right? Who signed it then? And
Right.
two, are there any other cards with fake signatures, right? The bigger question really is, can you really trust Panini at this point? Because Mark Jackson has come out to say,
That
yeah,
wasn't
this is
me.
not my signature.
And that was
Yes.
Panini released card that John was talking about.
I believe so.
Huh.
I will double check, but yes, I believe
I
so.
wonder if it was a sticker auto or on card auto. Because
It
then
was a
it could have
sticker
been
auto.
it was a
Sticker
sticker
auto.
auto. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it was an error on Panini's end in terms of slapping the wrong sticker auto, or if it was just someone that just signed it and it kind of got loose. I've never seen a Mark Jackson auto card in my life, to be honest. So I don't even know what one would look
Right.
like. I only know Mark Jackson's. I guess his. Is it the famous hoops card?
Yeah, the Menendez brothers.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what you're thinking
yeah.
about in the
Exactly.
background?
See, I thought
Yeah.
somebody threw a sticker auto on that or something like that.
No, this is yeah. It looks completely different from his other autos, but yeah, I think the quality control is the big issue, and maybe it's just another example of us piling on Panini. But I think this is the questions that John wanted to ask. Like, do you think this is Panini trying to kill their own brand for whatever reason, or is this just ineptitude? What do you think?
I think that this is Panini. I'm just saying, like I'm kind of like it's not no different. Like for me internally, you ask anybody, it's like Paninis are the worst at redemptions, fulfilling redemptions. It's like there's a
Right.
start, for instance, and there's a thing that like Panini's known for, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you go to card complaint of quality control, how bad prisms are centered, how bad prisms are, like the surface is so terrible on prism cards in general, right? So there's all these things that Prism or Panini in general have been known for, especially the Prism line. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not too surprised, to be honest. I don't expect much from Panini, but
Yeah.
like I said, if you're Fanatics, you got to be licking your chops because you're just like, okay, keep going, Panini, keep doing what you're doing, and then
Right.
maybe there's a price where it makes sense for all this to happen, right? I think with LeBron signing with Fanatics, I think it makes sense just by itself to take over Panini now, right? Just
Hmm.
just just start the licensed cards now, right? So
they'll get that money back so fast.
Oh yeah,
you know, whatever they pay to buy Panini out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're playing LeBron $5 million a year, which kind of seems a little cheap, but like $5 million a year for Fanatics, right? So I'm pretty sure they could do some damage with that with Panini.
Agreed, 100%. Well, we'll see how things play out, but just a couple of interesting developments from Panini America. I'm sure it won't be the last, but yeah, at this point, I'm sure some collectors are thinking, just put them out of their misery. Come on, Fanatics, just buy them out and let's make some really great products, you know, especially with the news that we talked about off the top with LeBron signing his deal. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of potentials for great looking cards, at least 1 or 2 years down the road. But yeah, big news this week in the hobby. I think that will wrap up our Friday episode here. Thanks again to all our listeners and subscribers to our podcast. We appreciate you guys, and we'll have a brand new episode for you guys on Tuesday. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.